Let's get serious for a moment. I am making a piñata cake. I'm just not gonna give up without a fight. Action. Welcome back to my home, everybody. And yeah, it is yours for this next little bit too, so you can get comfortable. And this is gonna be round 4. Me versus cakes. It's cake time. So I'm gonna arm myself with this cookbook right here. It's the Great British Bake Off's The Big Book of Amazing Cakes. And this is the book based off the TV show that I have still yet to watch. But I am getting closer to watching it. Maybe. The Chocolate Piñata Cake. So this cake has stood out to me because of the candy falling out of it. So you gotta fill it up like a piñata. But I truly picked this one because of the decorating on the outside. Like, I wanna do something like that. So I think that's kind of a good challenge for today because my pipe and bag skills need to, well, there's no place to hide with that. Now, the point of these videos is for you guys to always see some progress with each successive recipe that I tackle. At least a little here and there. So yeah, I wanna do a good job. Ducklings, beautiful. Let's get to work. As you watch me make this cake, you may be shocked at some of the quantities of certain ingredients that I'm gonna be using today. We're gonna be breaking some records, well, some personal bests over here for sure. I'm gonna need a bowl. Yeah, when I was measuring out a bunch of these ingredients today, I was like, are you serious? I had to do a double look. But yeah, that's what it says. 2 2/3 cup or just over 400 grams of dark chocolate chips. The chocolate goes onto a pot of simmering water. All right, and melt. Oh yeah, beautiful, glossy, and hell yeah. Put this off to the side, it needs to cool. Check this out. Bowl me. Thank you. I had to read this next part. Yeah, check that out. So I had to read this next part because I was like, are you sure? 12 large eggs beaten. 12, a dirty dozen. Keeping in mind that I am making sponge cakes, 3 of them, so I guess that all adds up. Dust off the granny and get mixing. But we don't start the beater until we're in the eggs. Okay, so there we have it. Those are our 12 eggs. It is time to bring back a very good friend. It's the Silver Fox. Silver Fox. Now, I did some homework, kind of looking up how I can get a fluffier sponge cake because the cakes I make could always be fluffier. And one of the big tips here is the temperature of the butter. It needs to be softened, but not like overly softened, but not too chilled. It needs to be perfect. It says here to make sure it's at room temperature for easy creaming. I feel like that's the perfect temperature right there. It's room temperature, but it's just not like mush. Because I always have, here's some butter that I leave at room temperature all the time, and you can see that is mush. 2 3/4 cup of unsalted softened butter, which is like 620 grams. It's a lot. Get ready for this. The light muscovado sugar. It's the one that smells like molasses. This is 4 1/3 cup worth, or 930 grams. 1, 2. All right, I guess that's 929 grams. Tablespoon of vanilla extract. Get that paddle attachment on, and let's listen to the Silver Fox purr. On a medium speed. It's like 2 to 3 minutes. Continue to scrape down the sides of that bowl. ABS. Always be scraping. Down the sides of the bowl. DTSOTB. All right, next up on a low speed, I'm gonna start adding the eggs a little at a time. Just a little, keep it going, keep the stream going. Just mix the eggs well after each addition. Now, appearance-wise, it doesn't look like it has come together, but I know that I have to just keep going because the flour is going to be the, you know, the mediator. The cooled melted chocolate in there. This is That's a lot of cake batter. First, let's mix the chocolate. Describing this as looking like sewage would be not the thing to do in a cooking show, right? Lastly, and I don't know if this bowl has enough room for this, this is 3 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour. It's around 415-ish grams. Silver Fox, you're gonna be sleeping like a baby tonight. Mix this on low speed until it's just combined. Whoa, that no longer looks like sewage. That's great. Okay, so, oh, it's got some weight to it. All right, if anyone has deserved a break. All right, you're gonna need 3 9-inch cake pans lined and greased. Please. Whoa, 1. Love your work. Okay, so, gee. Somehow, some way, I gotta divide the batter between the 3 cake pans. Whoa! I made a mess. All right, and then smooth out the surface. I think this one just has a little too much. You gotta share the wealth. I think they're all fairly the same. Okay, so I gotta keep in mind that each one of these is gonna be baking in a different type of cake pan. This one has got the lighter color and it's thicker. This one is very cheap, and this one is just right. They are the Goldilocks of the cake pans at a 350-degree oven. That's gonna take between 45 to 55 minutes in the oven, but since there's 3 of them in there, always be watching. ABW. My sweet ass little cake tester here, I'm gonna poke it into the center of the cake and it's coming out clean, so I'm happy with that. Recipe said 45 to 55 minutes baking. Just 45 minutes. For all 3 of them, I took them out at the same time. I can't imagine what these things would look like after 55 minutes. This recipe's crazy. But this cake right here was in the back left corner, so it baked up the fastest, and the edges don't look as nice as the other 2, but it does look acceptable. These are fine looking cakes though, not too much sinking going on. This is the nicest looking one, and it baked in the cheapest cake pan, so riddle me that. So these have all cooled completely in the pans, so okay, great talk. I'm just gonna get them off to the side here. So that's the story with the cakes. Let's talk the big pile of blow next to me. This is 14 3/4 cup worth of icing sugar. I don't know how you make a recipe and go, I need 14 cups plus a 3/4 cup. Like, isn't 14 enough? Or like, was the 3/4 cup really just gonna elevate it? It's got some weight to it, 1,845 grams worth. And then over here, I have 4 cups, around 907 grams-ish of softened cubed butter. And I only cubed it up so that it would soften quicker. Anywho, lots of healthy stuff going on over here. Let me go fetch a friend. It's the Silver Fox. Silver Fox. So we are making a hell of a lot of buttercream, probably more than the Silver Fox can handle. I'm gonna have to break it up, I think. All right, so I'm gonna get the scale. So 907 grams divided by 2. I'm just gonna do this in batches, like 453-ish grams. I'm gonna divide that in half. 3/4 tablespoon of vanilla extract into my first batch. Bring the Silver Fox over here. Cream this for 1 minute until it's fluffy. Like a medium speed. So I need 922 grams of icing sugar. Math, you gotta love it. And back over here. Okay. The mixer on low speed, add the sugar 1/3 at a time. Okay, that's the first batch. This is very messy stuff over here. Okay, so what we're gonna do, what I'm gonna do, sorry, you don't have to do this. This is not gonna get cleaned. We're just mixing everything together in the end anyway, right? Butter in. The 3/4 cup of vanilla. Mix that on low for a minute. Remaining icing sugar a little at a time. You got this, don't worry. That's why the silver fox gets paid the big bucks. Don't worry about it. Go on smoke break, silver fox. The silver fox didn't like that. Combine everything together now. No one really tells you how stressful buttercream can be. So there's our massive amounts of buttercream. Can I have a bowl? Like a tiny, it doesn't need to be big. That's perfect. So I spoon 1/4 of this into a separate bowl. That's better. Assemble and level the sponges, stack 2 on top of each other. Place the card template on top of the stack. Okay. I got a lot of comments regarding how I level up my cake slices or split them in half and all that jazz. People have told me to pick up one of these things, which is a cake leveler. So I did. And then I never took it out of the box until this very moment. So there it is. Let's get the cakes out of the cake pans. This is the one I told you that I thought I overcooked it. Well, it turns out I did. So that sucks. This could be a bottom piece. There's no way in hell I overcooked you. Okay, so it turns out that 45 minutes in the oven was too long for these cakes. I am gonna have to get creative here. They all need to be, oh God, I overcooked the hell out of that. So I think I need to trim off the kind of burnt sides of this one crappy cake. Oh yeah. Right, I think that was the right call because that is just not great. Then we're gonna do the same for each one of these then. Tastes like a brownie. This is really delicious. Now I know you can turn these scrap pieces, the pieces that are not burnt from these scrap pieces of cake, you just save that for what, the cake pops or just eat? How are we looking in terms of height? All right, and now we gotta make sure that they are all the same height. Just level off the top a little. Yeah. Okay, this thing is pretty badass. Just shaves right off the top. You know, we hope everyone's doing all right. Kind of just lost at the moment here, but I can figure it out. So I think because I made these cakes a bit smaller than 9 inches, it should be around 4-inch diameter circle card. That should be the right size there. What is going on outside? Cookbook recommends using a 5-inch diameter circular card. I cut out a 4-inch because I did trim off some off the sides of my cake. Yo comprendo? To assemble, we level the sponges, which we did. Now stack 2 on top of each other. Place that circle right in the center. Gently cut around the cutout, you little bozo. Whoa. Yeah, I did lose all the footage on this camera as like the last 20 minutes, which is probably a blessing. But then again, I have all the footage on this camera right here, so you can see what happened. I'll just speed it up. I was following along to the recipe and I was using my over-baked piece of cake as the base. And I was applying the reserved buttercream on top and it started to ruin the cake. So I needed a hack and I needed one fast. So I looked online and I found out that if you heat up an offset spatula under hot water and then you dry it off and then you start applying while this is hot, it's gonna smooth out the buttercream. And it did, and it was genius. So I've just contained this in a cake ring and now I'm ready to go. So I'm gonna heat this up again and away we go. To apply more buttercream around the base of this cake, and yes, this base layer is gonna be kind of crummy, not crummy, but like, you know, crummy. You can see here. Not again. So I've actually ripped the ring of this cake now. Things are not going smoothly. It does kind of suck, but with these kind of cakes, you're never gonna know. So just keep going, don't let it stop you. Jamie, let's heat up the spatula. While it's warm, let's apply some buttercream action. Now there is no mention of applying a buttercream crumb coat to this cake, which is I could have used some directions with that, but instead, this layer of buttercream is gonna be both a crumb coat and the layer of buttercream. So let's just get that into the freezer for a bit just to chill out. So the great thing is it says you need a mixture of candy and gummies of your choice. I just went a little mad in the candy store and
we all go a little mad sometimes. But no, it was great because I just said, I just filled.
So check out what we got going on here. A little everything, all the colors of the rainbow. We even got some sharks, pretty excited about that. It is very loud outside. So I'm gonna grab a whole handful of this candy, and it goes. Do it again. So I do got the one shark in there now. There goes the second one. Got some frogs. Oh, personal favorites, the fuzzy peach. And we got turtles. There's so much great stuff in here, you don't know when to stop. All right, well that's kind of telling you to stop. There is no more space in there for candy. You know what, this is tough. This is a tough thing to do. Last piece of cake on top. Get this away from me. All right, let's keep this compound secure. Apply a crumb coat all around the sides of this cake. I think it has to be done. Decided to blowtorch the offset spatula because going back to the sink was driving me nuts. All right, let's keep going. Don't knock it till you try it, it works. It's not the best crumb coat in the world. In fact, it's probably one of the worst, but it's gonna get the job done. The buttercream. It needs to be red, blue, and white. So I gotta divide this buttercream into thirds. 2 bowls. Thank you. So yeah, into thirds. I don't know for sure just yet, but I feel like this buttercream is too thick to be passed through a piping bag. I don't know, I'm calling it now, but I hope not. They don't give you an idea of how much food coloring, so you just have to 1 drop, 2 drop. You're gonna need more food coloring than that. Just keep going until it's the right color. Okay, well, that's pink. So get some more red in there. How much have you used? Half the frickin' vial. This needs to be a light blue. Have to keep adding the food coloring until it works, until you achieve the color you're looking for. It's the cheap food coloring, so it's just not as strong. I had to upgrade my piping bag nozzles because I didn't have any petals. And now I have enough petals to make a frickin' rose. If I so desired, not today. Start off with the blue, one at a time. We load up these piping bags. We all remember the cool hack we learned last time. The microwave plate with the roller cake turntable. So place the cake on a turntable, and for the piñata ruffle, using the blue buttercream, hold the petal nozzle against the bottom of the cake with the wider point touching the cake and the thin part facing outward. Using a wiggly, wavy motion, pipe around the cake base. Using a wiggly, wavy motion, pipe around the cake base. What the hell is going on here? Hard to get it the way you exactly want it to look, but you're gonna have to live with that because you're not a perfect person. Next is the white. Not gonna lie, the first 2 were a bit rough. I feel like I'm starting to get the hang of it. Although I've already covered the sides, so maybe it's a bit too late to figure out that. With as much strength as I have in my hand, pushing the buttercream through the piping bag nozzle while this thing is moving and try to get all the way around. I can't figure out this in my head. The fat point of the nozzle touching the cake and a thin part facing out. Oh, I was doing that wrong. in a wiggly, wavy motion. Why didn't any of you stop me? That looks terrible. I'd like to keep practicing, but I ran out of buttercream, so I'm stuck with this abomination. In some sort of alternate universe, scrape this all off, redo it. But then I remember how much butter I used to get this. I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna do that. So this is my product. You either love it or you hate it. I mostly hate it. So that is the dumbest cake I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've made some pretty dumb looking cakes. So I need to figure out my future here. Because this is not gonna be how I serve this thing. This is so stupid. I'm thinking if I just take the offset spatula and smooth out everything and create some sort of like colorful marbling all over this thing, how about that? So if you just make it nice and smooth, maybe you can get away with something here.
You know what I mean? There,
on a scale of 1 to 10, how stupid does this cake look?
It's definitely amateur hour up in here. All right. Can I have a couple of these?
Yeah.
You don't need the blue ones?
No, I don't need anything. I'm just going to cut this sucker open and go to bed crying.
I'm sure it tastes good.
There's no doubt.
Oh, really?
Why would it taste bad?
I don't know.
All it is butter and sugar. I'm not very artistic, so I needed some help with that. So yeah, I'm going down with the ship. Think of this as the Titanic, and I'm just on top, sinking to the bottom. So what I'm gonna do here is nothing. So I'm just gonna have to just submit this for this week. Order up! You know, there is light at the end of the tunnel here because there's candy on the inside, and I want to take a look. Oh, it's kind of difficult to cut through it. That really didn't go as I had planned. In fact, things couldn't have gone worse. I wanted to give this cake to people that I liked and said, hey, here you go. What I've learned making this show is that sometimes, it doesn't go the way you want it to go. I'm not gonna take one more step in this freaking kitchen because every single thing that I do is wrong today. So I'm just gonna stand among my mess here, among the candy and the broken up pieces of cake, and I'm gonna enjoy my slice, and then I'm gonna go. Is it delicious? Incredibly so. All right, I've had enough. That might take a break from the cakes for a bit. We'll see. This is a great anti-baking challenge. I gotta figure out what to do with all this cake. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Just not gonna give up without a fight.